But not only that, that is why it's so important that we all know who we are, okay? That is why we need to know. Now, beautiful friends, I am also going to show you a wonder visual organizer that we're going to be using, okay? I swear, okay, it is so easy. It is so easy. You're gonna be like, Pam, really? This is what you want us to do? So I'm gonna share my screen, all right? And what I'm going to do, my beautiful friends, all right, is I am going to show you, okay, the model that we're actually going to be using. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this maybe a little bit differently instead, but I'm going to show you, again, using a piece of paper, okay, a piece of paper. It's easy. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, okay. I'm going to show you. I'm going old school, my friends. I'm going old school. Okay. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to take off my, okay, my virtual background. All right. And then I will definitely put it back up afterwards, but I want to be able to show you how to do this. So what I want you to do, piece of paper, it doesn't matter, my good friends, use your phone, your notes option. All right. Anything at all. I want you to draw a big circle. Okay. A big circle. And I know you can do this, all right? So I'm going to draw my big circle. I'm going to cover that whole page. So take a look, all right? Cover that whole page. Oh, you got it, my friends. Now, what you're going to do with that big circle is you're going to, divide it, okay? And don't worry, you're not hurting the circle, my friends, okay? I want you to divide it into 4 sections. So divide it into 4 sections, my beautiful friends. I'd like you to do that now, okay? Divide it into 4. You can do it, all right? So we've got 4 sections, all right? So there we go. Now, what we're going to do next is you're going to number the sections 1, okay, 2, 3, and 4. Small numbers, all right? Now, I can't write backwards, but you're going to see it backwards. So, beautiful friends, you're going to draw your circle and you're going to number those sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, all right? So that is your visual organizer for today. So, beautiful friends, now that you've got that, okay? Now that you've got that. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be setting you up with a couple of really cool activities. And with these really cool activities, my friends, we are going to be engaged, okay? We're going to be actually engaged in this process called decolonization, all right? We're going to be doing it together. Now, you've got your circle. Go to number 1, okay? So go to number 1. You've got your circle. Go to the number 1 section. And what you're going to do there, my friends, is you're going to write or draw. No wrong way to do this at all. Number 1 section, you're going to put, again, your name and gift, okay? So you put it in the chat, but you're going to put it at number 1, your name and the gift that you bring to the world. This will all make sense. All make sense. So put your name and your gift, and then stay at number 1, my beautiful friends. Stay at number 1. And then I'm going to be sharing my screen again. And folks, if something happens, so I'm going to give you an example. So if something happens, my beautiful friends, like let's say, my own Wi-Fi goes out. So don't even worry, my beautiful friends, because I will come back. Here in, again, greater city of Sudbury, there are problems with our Wi-Fi. So I might blip out a little bit, but that's okay. Now, so again, why do we need to know, right? Why is decolonization and indigenization, the first step is knowing who we are. So here's what it is, okay? This is like, a life quote from, again, one of our good relations, again, in the spirit world. So Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, okay? And that is the absolute truth. Because where do we relate, my friends, right? Where do we relate? We all relate at an emotional level. We know what it's like to feel loss, grief, hope, joy, sadness, anger, hope. We know that. We can connect at those feelings. And we're able to do that whether we're Indigenous or not, right? We connect at a very emotional level. And that is one of the first stages, my good friends, of decolonization, okay? That is one of the first ones. So again, staying at number 1, we're going to be going to this really cool video, right? This cool video. And what you're going to love about it is this, my beautiful friends, is we are going to hear from the voices of children, okay? But no, geez. Now, what is amazing about this is that it's an actual take. It's an actual take from children about what they think decolonization means. So what I'm going to have you do is that number one, you're going to record, okay, a keyword, a phrase, could be a symbol, no wrong way to do it, but still in that number one, you're going to record, a comment or else a teaching that stays with you. And this is only about 2.5 minutes long. Okay, 2.5 minutes long, my friends. And because it's only 2.5 minutes long, it's going to go by really, really quick. So at number one, you're actually going to do that. So I'm going to go and pull up again this wonderful video, okay? And it's going to be very short, but it's so important because it ties in, to what is so critical about, again, my good friends, what's so critical about decolonization. So here we go. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to optimize. Okay, I'm going to optimize, and here it is. And we're going to hear from, again, Indigenous peoples from around the world. So beautiful friends, get ready.
When the US came here, they forbid our language. So our great grandparents, every time they would speak their native language, they would be punished for it.
Hafadayam Ha'ani.
Hafadayam Isaiah.
Hi, I am Shiloh.
Guahusi Inina.
Afade Inina Guahusi Melvin. I'm the Executive Director of the Commission on Decolonization. You know what we're going to talk about today?
Decolonization.
Yeah, that's a good guess. What do you know about colonization?
It's when a bigger country comes and finds another land and they take ownership over it.
It's when another nation moves into a place or they take control over it.
When someone with more power takes over someone with less power.
Colonization is when the large country finds another place that they're interested in. The larger country will come into this place and set up shop. And while they're there, they take advantage of what this new place has to offer and allow that resource to benefit the larger country. How do you think colonization has affected your elders, like your grandparents?
When the Americans came to Guam, they bought a lot of people's land or just took it and gave them almost nothing for sacred land. It affects them in the way that they're losing their home. They're losing places that they've lived for their whole lives.
They weren't granted citizenship until the 1950s, and they weren't able to vote until the 1960s. They were also punished in Navy and Western schooling when they spoke Chamorro.
When the US came here, they forbid our language. So our great grandparents, every time they would speak their native language, they would be punished for it.
Right. I think that's a great thing to know. There was a period where you could only speak English in public places. You can research old photos of public places in Guam with signs that say English only. When a place is colonized, it's not just the place, but also the people. If I come into your place and you're forbidden from speaking your language, and your language is not valued, but speaking my language is, then it creates this pressure on you to value mine more than yours.
All right, so we're going to stop there, my beautiful friends. So what you should have done, my beautiful friends, is this, all right, is that, again, at that number one quadrant, what did those young people teach us, right? Because it is these beautiful, beautiful young folks, that are giving those messages. It's that eighth fire, it's that prophecy. And it's these young folks. And you're probably thinking, well, what does Guam and the US have to do with our situation up here? So if you listen to their stories, it's almost like a safe entry point too, right? To talk about decolonization, because it happened everywhere around the world. It happened everywhere, right? All over, again, our beautiful, again, mother's land. This is what happened. So the reason why we show that is because, part of the message is that when we're working with young people, one of the key things is to listen to what they have to say. What are they telling us about what they need? What do they need? What is, important about identity? So that's why we always start off with locating self and embracing all of those parts of our story. No matter what it is, we embrace it. And not only that, is that that's the gift that we give to decolonizing ourselves and also to indigenization. So now, my good friends, we are going to be moving on, okay? So I want you to get ready. I want you to grab an object, okay? Grab an object, I swear, okay? You're okay, you can do it. Grab an object, because now, my beautiful friends, I'm gonna ask you some questions, okay? Now, you know what, you can keep, your videos are off because this is a webinar, but it's all good, okay? It's all good. I know that you're just like, going along with me and you're like, yes, you know what, I am gonna try this activity. So my beautiful friends, I turned my, beautiful virtual screen off. Get that ready, get it ready. I've got my object here. Put it to the right, put it to the right, all right? Now, the right means yes, okay? So when you put it to the right, it means yes. When you take it and you put it to the left, that means no. In the middle is I don't know, or none of your business, Pam, okay? And that's okay. So again, my beautiful friends, right is yes, left is no, in the middle is I don't know, or none of your business. So let's see, okay? Now, you don't have to show anybody your answers, all right? Not at all. So let's take a look here, okay? Let's take a look. So how many of you think that your own languages are important, your Indigenous languages? Right, yes. Left, no. In the middle, mind your business, Pam. Okay, so let's see. And I would go right, of course. Yes, it is. Our languages are important, right? So I want you to go back, and I want you to go back. Okay, so hold that. Your next question is this. Do you bring a gift to the world? Okay, do you actually bring a gift to the world? So right is yes, left is no, in the middle is mind your business, or I don't know. Okay, so let me know. Now, final question, my good friends. So this is the question that I have for you. Do you think that indigenization is possible where you are, whether that's home or work? Do you think it's possible? Right is yes, left is no, in the middle is no, or I don't know. Okay, my friends? So again, we're going to do that. And I'm going to go with a yes. Okay, and we're going to talk about how. Okay, there's going to be, again, a good thing. Okay, again, so a good thing, my beautiful friends. So right is yes, left is no, in the middle is none of your business, Pam. So beautiful friends. So what we're going to do is that from there, indigenization is possible, right? So it is. So I want you to stay in number one, because that's what we're going to work in. So in number one, right now, you have your name, the gift you bring. In that 2.5 minutes, what those young people taught you, about their understanding of decolonization. And now we're going to stay in number one, because now I'm going to talk about there are phases, right? There really are phases. So the phases, to, again, decolonization is understanding what colonization is, then decolonization as well, and then indigenization. Now, if you're looking for, the 8-step method and how to decolonize, okay, I got some bad news, okay? Because decolonization is not a series of steps that you just check off and it's like, oh, hooray, I'm finally decolonized. Thank you, thank you. Where do I sign up for the indigenization vaccine? Now, my good friends, okay? So indigenization and decolonization, right? It's a process. And it is really about relationships, right? It's about relationships and about time. And it's about how policies and programs make the space for indigenous peoples to have, again, voice, right? Voice, and also to be able to, again, ensure that our people not only, take their rightful place, but also that we also, again, have all of those opportunities, that we have, a say in our own business, right? And that's what it is. So I want you to get started, okay? So staying at number one, my beautiful friends, I am going to, again, do a mini lesson, okay? A mini lesson. Now, this mini lesson, while you're staying at number 1, is going to be about, well, what is colonization? Because you need to understand that first. So we're going to start off with this. So try it with me, okay? Try it with me. Okay, say it too. Yes, you too, all right? So I am colonized. So try it. I am colonized. Hard thing to say, right? But that's where we're going to start, because there is not one person, not one person here that has not been colonized. And the reason why I say that, right, is because we've all attended schools. We all are exposed to social media, and we all, again, have access to a technological world, and have all been part of systems and structures where we all are colonized to some degree. But it's looking at, number 1, what does colonization look like? How did it affect my traditional values? And not only that, how does colonization impact my daily life? And now what do I need to do, to start chipping off, my friends, chipping off that decolonization, that colonization hangover, right? So let's talk about how we do it. And I am going to start with this. So again, beautiful friends, okay, my beautiful friends, what I would like you to do, all right, what I would like you to do, my beautiful friends, is definitely, go to number 1. And I am going to go, all right, let me see. I'm going to grab my slides, okay? I'm going to grab my slides here. And what we're going to do, my beautiful friends, is this. So I'm going to go and grab, and having a little bit of trouble with this. So I'm just going to talk about it, okay? I'm just going to talk about it to you. So my beautiful friends, right? So what is colonization? So let's go to that. So here's my mini lesson. So colonization, in number 1, I want you to put a phrase or an image in number 1. So what is it? Here's the definition. So colonization, it occurs when a new group of people migrate to an area, take over, and begin to control the indigenous peoples of that area, right? So what does it look like? It's when a particular group, imposes their own values, laws, religions, policies, that never favor indigenous peoples. Sound familiar? Okay, so that's what it is. So typically, the values that are imposed, religions and laws and policies, do not favor indigenous peoples. And we have a long track record here in our own country of how all of those values, laws, and policies have not favored our people. So what is it? So colonization needs to be understood this way too, in terms of settler colonization, right? So what is it? So settler colonization is the continued removal and erasure of indigenous peoples. So what it is that it's continued, right? And so what it means is that, settler colonialism, it's not a thing in the past. It is not, because it is still here. So it exists as long as, there's no acknowledgement of the fact that the land here, on Turtle Island, has been, again, appropriated from indigenous peoples, and that institutions, like whatever institution it may be, also lives on that appropriate land. So what it is that non-indigenous peoples are definitely settlers, right? Whether it is 1 or 2 or 3 generations back. But I want to really make something clear, my friends, okay? I really want to make something clear here, is that, whenever it comes to, again, our settler relations, I want to emphasize the importance, my friends, the absolute importance, right, of allies and accomplices, right? So that's what it is. And I'm going to give you examples of that as well. So we have colonization, right, that happened here. We have settler colonization, is when settlers still are on the land, that was appropriated from indigenous peoples. And neo-colonialism is the 3rd level of colonization. And that is when our own people, indigenous peoples, right, have been colonized as well. So what happens is that, it occurs when we, indigenous peoples, start to colonize our own people by subjugating, marginalizing, shaming, blaming, and all of that. So that is what the 3 levels of colonization is. So it's like, how do we get to decolonization? So our, again, settler two-leggeds, right? We, again, settler two-leggeds, are going through their own journey as well. And they're becoming woke, right? So that's really what it is. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, again, that being woke. And I'm going to ask you to put in the chat. So how many of you right now, okay, and you can just put yes or no, okay, yes or no. Again, either have, okay, children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews. So again, just put in the chat if you do, okay? Okay, so if you do, children, grandchildren, or nieces and nephews, all right? Oh, there we go, okay, there we go. Oh, yes, my good friends. So some are like, yes, I got children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews. And not only that, so my good friends, and if you're like, I don't have any of those, those gifts have not arrived yet. So do you have friends, okay? Friends, good buddies, nichkas, right? That have like, children, or do you get to interact and see, these wonderful beings, and if you're like, no, I don't, were you a child at one time? That's the question I would have. Okay, so now here's where we need to go from there. Okay, so this is why I always talk about, again, our settler relations, right? So again, if you're not Indigenous, then you're a settler. But that settler, again, name can also be a point of relationship building. And it's about, how do I become an ally and how do I become an accomplice? And I'm going to get back to the whole thing of why, I want you to, think about those beautiful children. So what it is, my friends, is this, is that becoming an ally, right, with Indigenous peoples, whether, you're working in a university setting or also like, governmental setting, private setting, is that when you become an ally, it means that, that you're standing with, right? And it's Indigenous peoples that are talking about, listen, this is how we would like you to stand with us, right? But in a respectful and good way. Now, an accomplice, oh, it sounds sneaky. It sounds criminal. Oh, but I'm telling you, this is a good form of sneakiness. Now, my beautiful friends, an accomplice is an individual, right? Especially an individual that can, again, work again on relationships with Indigenous peoples and students and families and communities, but also is able to, again, deconstruct policies and curriculum and laws to make it more equitable and just. So settlers, that is the point of relationship, right? Is again, the opportunity to be an ally or an accomplice. And the reality is that, what, we need each other, because this is all about decolonization, my friends. And decolonization involves 2 parties, all right? 2 parties, always, okay? If there's anything that you take away today, remember this, that decolonization always involves 2 parties, Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous peoples, all right? Now, many of you might be like, oh, this work is so tiring. Especially like, if you're Indigenous, you might be like, oh, I'm so tired, this is hard work. And, I always go back, and I think about, when it comes to hard work, right? And how emotionally tiring it can be to do this work. I always think about all of the sacrifices and the work that my grandmother had to do, my grandfathers, I think about those that came before us, and I think now that was work. So I really feel that I'm in a position now where, I've been entrusted to do the work as well, right? So find your balance, my friends, find your balance. Now, okay, my good friends. So while I would definitely, and thank you so much, Mason. Yeah, the accomplice. I love that word accomplice, right? And ally. And I always see it like, like building a house, right? Building a house. You need that good foundation. The foundation is us, Indigenous peoples, right? The foundation. but you need the allies, you know, you need those bricks. You need the accomplices, you know, that are kind of like the electrical and the plumbing and the structure and the framing, right, as well. But at the foundation is our people. So both are always needed, right? Because an ally stands with, and that accomplice goes in and starts to deconstruct. All right. Moving on from number one, I want you to go to number two, and I'm going to show you what it looks like again. So if you're just joining, all right, look at this beautiful model. All right, beautiful model. There's like the circle, and of course, we've got them numbered, and it's split into four. So now we're going to leave number one and go to number two. All right, we're going to go to number two, my friends. All right, now leave that to the side. So what I want you to do is just using your hands. You can sit or stand for this. You have a choice, my beautiful friends. So I want you to sit or stand for this, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand. Now you're going to see my COVID body, my friends, my COVID body. And I have earned every single pound, right, my friends? I like, you know, I get to stay home. You know, I get to like, you know, hang out with you beautiful friends. So here's what I would like you to do. I'd like you to grab your hands and show me what a circle looks like. Show me what it looks like. Yeah, you too. Yes, circle. Okay, show me what it looks like. All right. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take that circle and reach it up high to the sky, reach it up. Oh, ishpaming. Now, take that circle and I want you to move it to your left. Move it to your left. Okay. Don't be afraid to move it to your left. Let's move it to a very good direction and pathway. Take that circle back. Move it to the right, my beautiful friends. There it is. Now, hold it here. Take that circle down. Let's go. Let's go. You can take that circle down, back down. So you can do this sitting or standing. Now, let's take your arms. Let's see that beautiful sacred circle, my friends. Let's see that beautiful sacred circle. Return to your seats. Okay. Now, here's the other thing, my friends. Okay. So go to number two, because I want you to think about right now, and you're going to put it in the chat, my friends. Put it in the chat. When you think about the circle, okay? When you think about the circle, and I mean it, the circle is everywhere, right? The circle is here, the bottom of my cup. Yes, I love London. Now, okay, I want you to put in the chat, think about, you know, your world and your environment right now. Look around you, okay? Where do you see circles, right? Where do you see them? And I want you to put that in the chat. So put that in the chat right now. Where do you see it, right? Because we're reminded every day about that sacred circle. Do you see it when you cut an apple, an orange? I don't know, okay? Where is it? Put it in the chat. Where do you see that circle, okay? Because they are everywhere. And it is like creation is reminding us all the time. And as you're doing that, I'm going to tell you where I see that sacred circle every day, all right? My sacred circle, my beautiful friends, and I love it, my face, believe me, look at my face. It is a continual circle lately. It's good. So, you know, so not only that, it's like, you know, we look at the circle, we go into nature, right? And what do the trees do? They remind us, you know, of life in that sacred circle. Our dogs and cats, what's the first thing they do before they lie down? They don't throw themselves down, my friends. What they do is that they too, they honor that sacred circle. Okay, they honor it and we love it, love it. Okay, so you've got it there. And I love it, you know. So there we've got door handle, watch face, clock on the wall. You got it, right? You know, sage in a circle. I love it. Dog bed, they're everywhere. All right, so the sacred circle. Now, I'd like you to go to number two, because now I'm going to share with you, my beautiful friends, and hopefully, my beautiful friends, this one will work, okay? This one will work. So I'm going to share my good files, all right? I'm going to go back out of here. And I'm going to share with you a good clip. And I'm going to just take it out and take a look at this. And for some reason it won't, but that's okay. Okay, that's all right. So my good friends, so what we're going to do is I want you to go to number two, and I'm going to talk about this one. Okay, I am going to actually talk about this wonderful one, and this is all about the decolonization, my friends. Okay, it's all about decolonization. So you're going to record one or two things that you actually, okay, that you're like, you know what, Pam, that is something that I actually get, okay, that I get. So I'm going to give you the mini lesson on decolonization, my friends. So what is it? What is it? So go to number two. So here's my mini lesson. So decolonization is always about two parties. It's always about two parties, Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous peoples. And it is dynamic and changing. So it always is. And shaming and blaming each other, right, is actually a form of colonizing. So if that's, something that we do, it's actually part of the colonial hangover, right? The shaming and blaming. So there's a difference, though, between being in a safe space and telling the truth, right? Truth and accountability are very different conversations than shaming and blaming, right? So they are, all right? Remember the statement there by Maya Angelou. And what she said was, right, people will never forget how you made them feel, never. And that goes both ways, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. So what is it? Decolonization is about non-Indigenous Canadians recognizing and accepting the reality of Canada's colonial history. And it's going back to those young people in the video, understanding that history, those policies paralyzed us, right? It paralyzed us. And that, certain policies still continue to subjugate our people. So what it is that decolonization, it goes from recognizing and accepting what has happened to then finding ways, right? It's like, okay, how do we create the space, right? So again, it's about non-Indigenous individuals in government and in institutions and in organizations saying, listen, how do I create the space, right? And cultivate a healthy relationship in a good way with Indigenous peoples so that the communities, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Mushkegowuk, Stalo, Intlakapma, Métis, that Indigenous peoples can reclaim, what was always theirs, right? And that sounds odd, what was always theirs? But it was, because many of those things were taken from us. So decolonization is also about where we, especially myself as Anishinaabe here, right? Anishinaabe, and it's like, Vogue, Vogue, Vogue. Where we investigate and we embrace and we live our worldviews. So it means knowing who we are, right? Going right back to the beginning, our languages, trying to recover them in a good way, but in a good space. So that's what I meant about shaming and blaming. When we're trying to learn our languages, we're taking those risks, right? So we want to support each other in knowing who we are. The traditions, whatever traditions it is that's known amongst your nation. In Shingwauk, my goodness, we just ended Zispokto Gizis, right? That sugar bush. And that was one of the gifts that we have. So it's like going back to those structures. But it's also where we challenge, Western and technological histories. So his story, and replace it with our own. So decolonization is about relationships and changing the way that we see each other. That's really what it is. So decolonizing starts with the self. Oh my goodness, people. So staying at number 2. Now, I'm actually going to put a link in the chat, okay? And that beautiful link in the chat, all right? What I'm going to do, my friends, is I'm going to have you go to that link if you can, all right? So I'm going to have you go to it. And you are going to have, I think, very much an interesting time. So this is all about self-love. And you're like, listen, what kind of a talk is this? Well, I'm going to tell you that actually decolonizing, starts with ourselves, right? And it's really about, self-care. So what I want you to think about right now, my friends, okay, right now, is I want you to think about how it is that you take care of yourself. So how do you take care of yourself, my friends, right? So what do? Do you go for a walk, right? Do you go for a walk, or, do you go out in the bush? Do you play bingo? I don't know, okay? I have no clue, okay? I have no clue. So there it is. You'll take a look. In the chat, you'll see the link. Go to it. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it. Okay. So go to it. Self-love, right? You're like, what? Decolonization and self-love? Okay. So friends, now go to that link. All right. Muskrat Magazine. Oh yes. You Mushkegowuk people. Okay. Now there's no link there. You folks are not, you're saying you cannot see the link. All right. So don't worry about it. Okay. Don't worry about it. Now, I believe that Megan has put it up there for you. And now that it's there, so go to that link. And I'm going to talk about that. So now, self-care, all right? Especially for those that self-identify. So I'm going to give you an example. that self-identify as female. So if you self-identify as a female spirit, self-care is even more important for you, okay? And you're probably like, why? Why are you singling out the female spirits, right? Why? Because female spirits, we have this tendency, right? We have this tendency to take on a lot of responsibility, and that is, something that that we do. Like, it's almost like right from the beginning that we entered this world, that's what we're doing. We're modeling the teachings of our Mother Earth, because she does take care of us, right? So female spirits, you need to practice self-care. So I'm not kidding. And for those that, again, self-identify, as our male spirits, right? Our male spirits. One of the critical things, that you need to do as part of decolonization, right, is support those female spirits, give them the space and time to practice self-care, to go for that walk, volunteer to watch the kids for 30 minutes, volunteer to do the dishes, right? And for those, that self-identify, and then again, that have fluid self-identification, my beautiful friends, that have that fluidity. And one of the things is that you need to do that self-care, because you have this vision of the world, this vision of the world that is healing, that is strong, and that it is powerful, really, that it is. So you need to do the self-care as well. And did you ever notice
Sorry, guys. Dr. Toulouse's camera froze, so she'll log back on momentarily.
can you hear me?
There she is. Yay.
I know. I told you. Okay. This is what happens. Zoomland people. Okay, here I am. I live in the greater city of Sudbury, but it's unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. Because it always comes up, your internet connection is unstable. It is. That's why I told you at the beginning, it may happen, but don't worry about it. Oh, yes. I wasn't trying to tiptoe away from you folks, trying to run away. So don't ever. Yeah. So my good friend G's like, oh, yes. She's saying, did you ever notice that's where you left off? Now that really does, that actually sounds like some kind of a joke. Did you ever notice, right? So let's get back to the self-care. So again, you identify as a female spirit, my beautiful friends, okay? You know what you need to do. You identify as male spirit, you know what you need to do. If you have, again, a fluid spirit, you know what? Embrace that, and also bring that strength, bring that goodness, bring those lessons to us of healing, because you possess them. You actually have them. So, and it's like, did you ever notice once you do even 10 minutes of self-care, you're like, oh, I can conquer the world today. Well, maybe not the world, it could be the dishes, but maybe it is the world. But that self-care is so important. So did you ever notice that you have that renewed energy, right? So that's why it's so important. So decolonization is about that, my beautiful friends. All right, so the other thing is, my beautiful friends, okay, so I'm actually going to, again, go back to my presentation. And now what I'm going to have you do, my beautiful friends, is I'm going to have you, again, go to number 3. Because I'm going to do, again, a mini lesson on what does a decolonized workplace look like, okay? So what does it look like? But here, before we even do that, okay, I'm going to have you do an activity. It's all good. I'm going to put my beautiful virtual background on, because I put this together, okay, at Zazzle.com. So beautiful friends, all right, what I'm going to have you do is this, all right? So here it is. Before we start talking about decolonizing our workplaces, all right, decolonizing it, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take your hands, okay, take your hands. All right, don't be scared. This will not hurt. Okay, I swear it won't. I want you to take your hands and I want you to put it right up to the screen. Put it right up to the screen. Pull them back. Pull them back. Right up to the screen again. Pull them back. Take those beautiful hands. Shoot them up in the air. Ishkameng, ishkameng. Take those hands out to the side. Out to the side. Take those hands. Oh, let's take them down to the ground. To the ground. My beautiful things. All right. So your hands. Put them to the screen again. And I'm going to share a word with you. Okay. So what we're going to do is we've got our hands to the screen and we're going to say Mari. So just Mari. Okay. Mari, Mari. So put them up. Mari, Mari. There they are at the screen. You know, there they are. So Mari, Mari. So Mari, Mari is where we're going to go when we talk about decolonizing the workplace, right? Because here's the reason, my beautiful friends. All right. Mari, Mari. As we know, there's Indigenous peoples all over the world. And the Huiche people of southern Chile, and I've been there and I've worked with them, say Mari Mari. So like in Anishinaabe, we say like Bojo, which is kind of like a formal thing, Ani, you know, which is like like a social hello thing. And the Huiche people say Mari Mari. And it was interesting because, you know, there I am, I'm with, our people in southern Chile, South America. And they like, you know, they would go like this and they'd say Mari Mari, their way of saying hi. And that is their traditional way, right? So embracing our traditional ways. And it actually means, okay, it means like 10 fingers, but it's more than that. So when we take our hands and we put them at the screen and we say Mari Mari, so in an old language from South America, what we're actually saying is that we're touching those fingers and that we are connected together. And that we are connected and that we are rooted and that we are all interconnected and that we are in our place, right? So there it is. We are locked down, our beautiful feet on the earth. Even if you're sitting in your house, that house is located on the earth, friends. So Mari Mari from the Huiche is about that. We are all connected, right? Sound familiar? Believe me, when I went to South America, I might as well just have been in Shingwauk because that's exactly what it felt like, my good friends. So I want you to go to number 3. What does a decolonized workplace look like? All right. So decolonizing our workplaces looks like this. It means where we actually stop saying, oh, but we treat everyone the same. Okay, stop saying that. We don't treat everyone the same. It's where, you know, a decolonizing workplace is really, you know, a place that, you know, reflects. Okay, so take a look at the structure and the buildings, you know. So what it is that it is like, you know, where we actually say, no, we don't treat everyone the same. And where we say, okay, and now that we know this and we know where the issues lie, whether it's policies, programs, access to support and services, you know, that what it is, my friends, is that at our workplaces that we acknowledge that we need to support the self-determination of Indigenous peoples, right? The cultural, spiritual, and land connections at that institution. The process is lifelong and it's messy. It is totally messy, my friends, right? So what is it? So I'm going to give you this number 3 activity and I'm going to have you take a look, okay? I want you to think about your workplaces, right? And you're like, oh, Pammy, I am living in COVID land, okay? So my workplace is my office. Yes, that may be true, but I want you to think about that. So staying at number 3. So think about your workplace and the structures. I want you to think about this. Think about the buildings, the office spaces outside and in. I want you to think about the signage. Okay. So the signs greeting, you know, people to the organization. All right. I want you to think about the procedures and, you know, that are at that institution. So if we're talking about universities and if I am creating a new course, what are, you know, especially if the course has Indigenous content, what are the procedures for that course with Indigenous content to be approved? Who's overseeing it, right? And where is, again, the truth and accountability? Not only that, think about programming, right? So what type of programming is in place? Is the programming, you know, is the programming respectful of, you know, the nations in that territory? Not only that, is also, the programming being driven by, again, our knowledge keepers as well, in partnership with, again, our non-Indigenous allies and accomplices, right? So that's what we want to be able to see. Take a look at staffing complements, right? So who works where, right? And, do we see like, a good representation of our people? Not only that, what language is valued? What is the pay scales like? What is it like? And take a look at the land surrounding your organizations, right? So what about the land? So is there any type of acknowledgement? Can you actually see that, that this is the traditional territory or the sacred lands of the Indigenous peoples of that area? Is there signage? Is there, some type of like, of a tribute? What is it, right? So working towards decolonization is talking about what is working and what is not, what is fair and what is unfair. And not only that, right, but also it's like, again, looking at why something is not working. And that's why evidence and data is so important, right? Evidence and data, my friends. And, Indigenous peoples, we are afraid of that. Like, who owns that data, right? And we have, very much good reason to be, but it is important. Data is important to offering, a perspective. This is what is not working. Our graduation rates aren't working. And, take a look at it. Graduation rates are here, retention, or else, our students are being streamed into these types of programs, or else, when it comes to the truth and reconciliation plans that we have, the voices that we're missing from this were the elders and youth, whatever it may be, you need to have the evidence. Now, here's the other thing, and many people are going to be mad at me. You're going to be mad at me for saying this, and that's okay. That's all right. Now, here's what I say, okay? Now, my beautiful Indigenous people, okay, Anishinaabe, you're out there, Mushkegowik, Haudenosaunee, Intlakapma, all across all 500 nations across this, Great Turtle Island. So there's ways to disrupt, right? To decolonize places, decolonize. Now, some people like to decolonize and they're like right in your face, right? Oh, I'm going to decolonize you like this, right? Getting right up in your face. There's other ways to decolonize as well. So it goes back to that comment from Maya Angelou. People will never forget how you made them feel, right? And they won't. Think about yourself, right? When people hurt you, you never forget that. So decolonization, my friends, and disruption, okay? Because we need to be disruptors. We need to, embrace our allies and accomplices as also being disruptors. But we can disrupt each other through kindness, Can you believe that, right? Can you believe that, my friends? We can disrupt through kindness. So I'll give you the example. So I want you to think about the last time that you felt really like, motivated, right? And a lot of people will use their hurt and anger as a way to like, to make change. And as Indigenous peoples, we've experienced a lot of hurt and things like that. But one of the greatest ways to empower each other and build relationships, my friends, is this, right? Disrupt with kindness, right? So that when our allies and accomplices and, our settler two-leggeds come to us and, they say, I never knew. And how can I affect change, right? So how can I affect change? And I want to work on this relationship. You got to remember, I'm 51 years old and I know you're shocked. Okay. I know you're shocked. You're like, oh my goodness, 51. I would have put you like, at like 24, of course. But my friends, I want you to remember, right, that again, it's important that, that we work with each other because we need the allies and accomplices in a good way to build our relationships, because indigenization is also not possible without our allies and accomplices. And I want you to think about our babies, okay? I want you to think about our babies, okay? Children, grandchildren. When that baby was born, did you say to that child, get up there, shkozen, wake up, mipto, and for people that know the language, it's like, hey, wake up there, get up there, start running. You would not say that to a newborn coming into this world, right? Because that newborn goes through the stages. I'm going to learn to, like, stumble, fall, I'm going to crawl, I'm going to get up and try to walk and run. So whenever I say people are becoming woke, especially our allies and accomplices, right? We can't be there and say, Anishinaabe, Mipto now here. And I'm not trying to infantilize, allies and accomplices. It's not that at all. But what I'm saying is that relationships are built upon compassion, understanding, and truth and accountability. And what that means is that we need to know is that, everybody's going to go through their own growth and healing. And when people become woke and they actually know what's happened to our people and how we've been unfairly, treated in our institutions and how we're actually positioned to fail, right? Positioned to fail at times, that when they learn that truth, it's overwhelming, right? So what we want to do is we want to remember people will never forget how you made them feel, right? So we have to think about that no matter what, decolonization, right, and indigenization requires, right, two parties, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And I'm going to say something here to my Anishinaabe two-leggeds here, Mushkegowicks, and all you beautiful peeps, okay? So I'm going to tell you something, okay? Now, I believe in disrupting with kindness, but here's the thing, okay? Because you know what? I love this. I love this. So what I say is wherever you are, and when that door has been open, okay, when a door has been open, even a little crack of a door, right? Little crack of the door, you know what? Like, so whatever it is, it could be for a job, it could be for a committee, right? It could be to sit on an academic planning committee. It could be to sit on equity and diversity. It could be to sit on a personnel committee. It could be, a particular position's opened up, or else you have the opportunity to revamp a policy document or a personnel or a curriculum document, whatever it is. When that opportunity, that little door is open, you know what? Don't waste any time. Open the door and do it, right? So you might be like, you know what, right? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Just open the door and run with it. Because, Anishinaabe, Mushkegowik, our wonderful peeps, we don't have the time. We don't have the time to not disrupt with kindness. We also do not have the time, my friends, right, to question how that, that little crack got opened, right? We really don't, because people are counting on us, right? They're counting on us. And who's counting on us? Those young people at the beginning are counting on us. So when that little door is open, you go right through and you say, okay, I am here. And I am here, and I'm going to make that change for those Benojis, or, for those faces that are still not named, right? And that goes back to our teachings. So, my beautiful friends, that is, again, decolonization, right? So now we're going to get to some indigenization, but we're going to do that, my beautiful friends, in a good way, okay? A good way. I swear to God, it's a good way. So what I want you to do, okay? I'm going to take off my glasses for this, all right? All right. Oh. So what I want you to do, my friends, to get to the indigenization level, okay? So let's get there together. I want you to take a deep breath. Oh, blow it out. One more time, one more time. Now, I want you to imagine that that door has been opened, no matter how that door has been open at your institution, for that committee, that position, that, revision, that restructuring, that strategic plan. I want you to imagine that door is open right now, okay? Just a little crack, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to sit in your chairs and I want you to run. Mipto, 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 run. Oh my goodness, I'm miptoing. Oh my goodness, I better not mipto off this road here. Okay, now, my good friends. So mipto, right? So I've been miptoing for a long time and disrupting in different ways. When I was, again, 17 years old, I disrupted by going on a hunger strike. So yeah, 17 years old on a hunger strike, with my buddy Mike Najuan from Atigamekw Shing and 12 other people. So that was my disrupting, at a different time. And that was, through, again, like, because at that time it was about education funding being cut, right? For, again, Indigenous peoples. And I didn't really know what it was. All I knew is that the door was open a little bit and I thought, I'm busting through this door. So that's exactly what I did. And then when I was offered a job at the University of Sudbury way back in the day, 21 years ago, actually, and it was like, okay, right? It was like, all right, the door's open and I'm busting through it no matter what. Yeah, because that's my responsibility. I need to do it. Okay. I need to do it. So, my beautiful friends, right? So, the MIPTO, so we run through those doors, and our allies and accomplices, what I would say is, you know what, help us to MIPTO through those doors in a good way. And you're probably thinking, well, how does decolonization and indigenization improve my life? You know, and I think that you'll see that your relationships with our community, and you know, you take a look at your children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and what a different world it could be for them, right? And it can be a good world. So my beautiful friends, what we're going to do is I'm going to move on. I want you to go to number 4. Okay, go to number 4, my beautiful friends. Okay, go to number 4 in your beautiful sacred circle visual organizer. Okay, go to number 4. And I'm sorry, my friends, I haven't been able to share again, my beautiful friends, my screen, because it's really interesting, right? Because what has happened, my beautiful friends, is that I can't, for some reason, it won't let me share. So, you know, so that's why, you know, I'm a teacher. All right, I just go with plan B. So, my good friends, and maybe I can actually have, I'm just trying to see here. I'm going to see if I can actually share my screen again. Okay, going to see if we can. Now, I'm actually going to have, let me see, my beautiful hosts. So if you can make me the host again, the hostess with the mostest, I'm going to move on. Okay. So going to again, number 4. So now this, my friends, okay, is about indigenization. All right. So I'm going to give you some examples. All right. This is again, some examples. So what I'm going to do, all right, my beautiful friends, is I can actually share my PowerPoint now. Thank you. Okay. So I'm actually going to share something else first. I'm going to show wonderful folks what it looks like. So I love this. So when we start to indigenize at our institutions, this is what it looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like. So this comes from Dalhousie University, and it's an actual questionnaire that's given to employees, so to staff and faculty that want to work at Dalhousie University. Now, you folks, okay, you might be like, oh, Pam, why would I want to answer this? But here's what it does, right? So you have the option to answer or not. But it's like right away, it's like, you know, you have the opportunity to like prefer not to reply. But they're like, listen, we actually are so committed, okay, to again, the Anishinaabe, the Indigenous community here, like, you know, on the East Coast, that, you know, that we want to know, like, do you consider yourself to be Indigenous? And not only that, they have the question. So I'm going to highlight it. Do you consider yourself to be Mi'kmaq, right? So right away, it's talking about the peoples of the land. So Dal's like, listen, you know, our institution is on the lands of the Mi'kmaq people. So, you know, so what it is that you can answer no or yes or whatever it may be. Not only that, what they do is that they're right up front. Okay, listen, are you racialized? You know, so do you come from a particular background, you know, where you have been racialized in some way? So you have the opportunity to say yes or no, prefer not to apply. Not only that, it's also, are you again a person with a disability? And not only that, gender, okay, and of course, you know, gender expression. So why is this important? Because a institution that is moving towards decolonizing itself and becoming, again, looking at being indigenized, will honor the nations. It will make sure that its institution, the courses, the programs, the staffing, honors Indigenous peoples, that it honors, again, racial and ethnic group peoples, peoples with disabilities, so that there's access all over. Not only that, that people that, you know, self-identify and have, like, you know, beautiful, unique gender expression, that they too are honored at that institution. So if we go back and we think about that, that's what it is. Not only that, so I'm going to give you an indigenization list. All right. And you're probably going to be like, Pam, what are you talking about? Why? So Universities Canada has principles on Indigenous education. So I'm going to show you these. And there's several, and these are really the important ones. So anybody that has a plan to indigenize, right? So you're like, I want to indigenize my place, and you should be. So this is what you would measure your, again, plan on. you'd start off with this, finding out, well, what's the current state? So is my university or organization, do we have a commitment at every level, okay, to develop opportunities for Indigenous students or clients or peoples or communities? So you would find out where we're at. So that's why you need data, right? Where we're at. And then you would measure where we're going, okay? So are you student-centered or, again, client-centered? And that means Indigenous-centered, right? So do you, again, are you? So where's the evidence? What programs do you have? What services? Not only that, when you take a look at that, what are the gaps and where do we need to go? So there are principles that we would use to measure, again, my good friends, from Universities Canada, okay, to measure, again, Indigenization. And this is always driven, my friends, by Indigenous peoples, okay? So Indigenous folks. So I'm going to stop there. So here it is, my beautiful friends. So we are going to go right here. So opening activity on Indigenization, go to number 4. And I want you just to put number 4, which is a value, okay, which is a value that either you have in your life right now, or you're really hoping that, a value that you can embrace. So, okay, so let's try this. So do you believe that humor is trust? All right, is humor trust? So when someone laughs with you, so not at you, but with you, is it a sign of trust? Or does humor have its place? Should it have its place? Now, not only that, okay, now in your community, okay, is aging or else becoming an elder valued? Or is it to be young forever? Okay, yeah, we're going to be young always. And let's take a look at this. What is valued in your community? Silence or talking? Not only that, okay, if we take a look at this. So I want you to think about where you come from. Now, is the community important or else is the individual important first? All right, so I'm going to stop there. So you're putting that at number 4. I'm going to stop sharing, my beautiful friends. So now that is an interesting exercise and it's only for you. Okay, it's only for you. So I'm going to talk about that exercise. All right, now I am going to, again, we see, oh, folks, sorry, you couldn't see that screen. That's okay. That's all right. Now, what we're going to do, my friends, is this, okay? So I'm going to have you go to number 4 and I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, and don't worry about, the screen and stuff, but I'll share these resources again with you and don't worry about it. You will get them, okay? You will get them. Now, so when it goes to the values, all right, so this is what it is. Indigenization is, again, looking at the traditional lands, right? So this is what it is. And if you're in the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, it's, again, it's about Indigenous people saying, listen, here are the traditional values that we possess, right? These have been here since time immemorial. So they're not stuck in the past. But we take these beautiful things and then what we do is that we bring them and then they become a part of our lived experiences now. So we look at the technological world and our traditional worlds. And I'm going to give you how those, again, collide, okay? So institutions typically have been really built around these principles, all right? So this is what it is. Our technological world has values these things. It values, again, the rights of individuals. It values competitiveness. It values talking, right? Really does. And also everything that you see in social media values staying young. So that's technological world values. And our institutions also get built on individual rights. Competition is also key. And talking is, again, a sign of successful people. But if we look at traditional values, okay, traditional values. So let's take a look at that. What happens first? Community is important, right? Again, contributing to community. And again, what is the greater good? Not only that, cooperating. Oh my goodness. Okay. So again, not only that humor is trust. And not only that, instead of always being rights-based, traditional communities, we talk about our responsibilities, right? So that slide was about how do we move from the technological values. So look for them. Look for them in your policies, your vision statements, look at them in your programs. And if they're really focused in on those values, how do we move from there to being about community, cooperation, and our responsibilities to each other and the earth, right? How do we do that? So that is absolutely key, okay? Now, I'm actually going to go, okay, right to the next activity. So my beautiful friends, now, so here's what we're gonna do. Oh, yes, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So I want you to take your hands again, my friends. So go like this, go like this. You can do it. I know you can. Yes, you too. I know you're sitting there drinking your coffee, your muckada abo, all right? Or else your nibi shabo, your tea, or your bish, okay? Whatever it is that you're nimquang this morning. I want you to take your hands. I want you to turn them like this, okay? We're gonna turn them like this. And I want you to go like this and shake them at the screen. Shake them at the screen, my friends. Shake them really hard. Shake them up in the air. Shake them out to the sides. Shake them below. Shake them. But don't shake yourself off the screen. Now, we're going to shake them and we're going to say these words. Miigwech. Try it. Miigwech. Oh, my friends. So, miigwech. Thank you, Anishinaabe. So what we're going to do, my beautiful friends, is Anishinaabe and miigwech, right? So I want you to hold on to that word miigwech and being thankful, because now we're going to get right into the indigenous, again, indigenization, all right? And I'm going to share with you a resource, again, that's really important as well to use when you're planning. And I'm going to show you, because we learn from each other. We're learning. All right. So now I'm going to share with you my screen, my friends. There it is. Hopefully you can see it, all right? And I'm going to start right here at the current slide. All right, so staying at number 4, all right? So indigenization, right? It's about naturalizing, right? So naturalizing our organizations. So what is naturalizing? So it means that we stop saying, well, let's do the Anishinaabe stuff today. Oh, let's go and, let's do the Intlakapma stuff today. Oh, let's Haudenosaunee it today. No. So it means that we work towards, Anishinaabe, again, teachings, values, the language, just becoming a part of, the everyday environment. So we know that we're working towards indigenization when programming, services, and supports at an organization reflect Indigenous perspectives, values, and cultural understandings, right? So an example, again, in academic programming. So I'm going to give you an example, right? So if there's been courses created with Indigenous content, who is overseeing, right, and informing the Indigenous content? So it's almost like, saying, listen, what type of content and what type of training do you have to teach that course, right? So that's what it is. In terms of policies, right? So policies, is there an opportunity, right? So is there something built into your policy, for self-care as part of your EAP plan? Is there also, as part of that policy, right, an opportunity to take Indigenous language courses so that we regain our languages? Not only that, when you take a look at your websites and emails, right? So your taglines, is it, again, do you see, again, the Indigenous ways of knowing at the heart of it? Is the language there, right? Not only that, is there an acknowledgement of the territories when the emails are going out, right? So what is it? And is there cultural protocols and practices in the operations of our institutions? So what I mean is, if you smudge, is smudging there, right? Is that a part of the opening of events? Not only that, even when there's not Indigenous peoples present, is part of the meetings and events always opened with an acknowledgement of the territory? Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so this is indigenization. So now a lot of people are going to get mad. They're going to be like, why would you even bring up land acknowledgements? Yep, Pam, how dare you? We're tired of them. All right, everybody just says it. Oh, we're in the treaty territory of Rumson, Huron, 1850. So I'm going to tell you why. Okay, and I'm going to share a very short video with you on indigenization as well. So the reason why we need to continue with land acknowledgements, we also need to add an extra thing to it, all right? An extra thing. Okay, so land acknowledgements, are important. I want to know whose territory I'm in. I'm sorry, you know what? I'm Anishinaabe. And when I was out in Calgary and out in South America with our people, I want to know that, I'm in the territory of the Wiche, because just because I'm Anishinaabe doesn't make me an insider, again, doesn't make me an insider in, Wiche territory in South America, or in Calgary, which is the traditional territory, of the beautiful elder Reg Crowshoe. And I'm going to share with you again, his teachings. But what it does, my friends, right? So these beautiful, again, land acknowledgements, I would never go into like Treaty 3 territory or someone else's, territory and say, oh yeah, I'm just going to come and hunt and fish here, or else whatever. I'm just going to come here, no. But what I do is I want to know whose territory it is. I want to acknowledge and I want to ask permission, right? Because I'm not an insider there, right? I'm not, even though I'm Indigenous, it's important that we acknowledge those territories. But what I would say is take it further. What does being in that territory compel you to do? Add that question. So if you're working, in a classroom or else in an office and you hear that, again, land acknowledgement, ask yourself, what does it compel me to do today, right? Because that's indigenization. So it could be something simple as, saying, well, what it compels me to do today is that it compels me, to be very cognizant, to be kind. It compels me today, again, to ensure, that when I'm teaching today, that I, again, take my students in an exercise that asks them, what does knowing the territory compel them to do? It also means, my good friends, right? It goes beyond that. So it's saying, okay, as an institution, knowing that we're on these lands, what does it compel us to do in terms of program and policy transformation, right? How is it that we can contribute and ensure that our Indigenous Benojis and Shkanigish, that they have the opportunity to have every opportunity, okay, my good friends? That's what it is. That's what it's about. That's what it is. So not only that, okay, so I'm going to tell you about indigenizing your work and life. So I'm going to show you, okay, I'm going to show you. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, Pam, why would you even say this to us? So staying at number 4, okay, saying number 4, all right? So something to think about, and I'm going to share my screen with you again, okay? So number 4, so beautiful friends. Ah, yes. So what does it look like? Oh my goodness. Again, indigenizing life and work, all right? So my friends, here's what it looks like. Indigenization of institutions is a process and not a product. So if you're like hoping that in 10 years that you're going to finally be indigenized, it's going to be like, I got some really bad news for you. Okay, it doesn't happen that way. There is no point that we say, finally, I'm indigenized. Oh, thank goodness. Give me the certificate. Give me the micro credential. No, 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 no. So what it is that it's a process. Indigenization, right? So what it is that that's what it is. So not only that, so how does it look in the workplace again? So is the culture, language, and resources present right from the get-go, like right from, the entry, do we see, the, again, traditional peoples of the land reflected in, again, your strategic plans, right? Policies and programs. Is the traditions and ceremonies and celebrations and the models of how we do things, Indigenous peoples, are they reflected and present, right? So not only that, so we look at it. So where is culture, language, and resources present? How is it actually implemented, right? And who's doing the implementing? And again, is there a way to evaluate, again, how it is that this work is being done and who's doing the evaluating? Indigenization happens, my friends, when, we as a university or we as an organization, finally stop saying we're doing that Anishinaabe stuff today or the Intlakapma stuff today. It means that we actually get to a point where, okay, where Anishinaabe-ness or Intlakapma-ness or Haudenosaunee-ness is just the approach that is part of the common discourse of the university, community, or organization, right? So what does that mean? I'm going to show you a document and I'm going to share it with you as well. Okay. I'm going to share it with you. So I'll share my beautiful screen. All right. So again, you don't get the checklist. Okay. It's not all of a sudden. It's like, oh, thank goodness. Indigenized. Finally. There is no 10-year plan or checklist, my friends. It is a process that we're going to go through. So remember that indigenization always involves the two parties, right? And those two parties are, again, Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. And, you know, again, I always say, let's disrupt with kindness, okay? Disrupt, we can disrupt and be in your face. That's easy, okay? And, you know, but telling truth and again, you know, having conversations about accountability has to be culturally safe for all of us, right? It does, right? Because allies and accomplices help us, you know, to get these really important things done. You know, and it's not even about us, it's about those that are yet to come, right? So that's why I always say, once that door opens, jump through. Just say, you know, stop the ha, I'm here ready to do this work. And maybe you didn't expect me to jump through that door, but here I am. All right, so I'm going to show you, my friends, the wonderful resource. So I'm going to show you the reason why. All right, so I'm really hoping, okay, that this will come through, my friends. And if not, you know, that's okay too, okay, because I've definitely got a beautiful file. So I'm going to actually go back to this. But there is, again, at the University of Calgary, so it's important to learn from other institutions, right? So not just to look in-house, because everybody wants to look to Ontario. Oh my goodness, what are they doing at Trent? What are they doing here? What are they doing at Lakehead? It's good to do that, right? To find out what are they doing as part of their indigenization plan. But what I would say, my beautiful friends, is that look further for these wise practices, okay? Look, again, definitely further. And at the University of Calgary, so what it is that their indigenization document actually looks quite different, okay? Quite different. And what I mean by that, it's actually, you know, called, like their indigenization is called, again, I can't say it in their language, but I'm going to give you the link, okay, that can be shared. And it's called Together in a Good Way, a Journey of Transformation and Renewal. But they have the language of the people first. And in their language, it means a place to rejuvenate and re-energize during a journey. So their indigenization strategy, right, is very clear. So right on the document itself is the symbols of the people of the area, the people, traditional people of the land. It has the language up front of what indigenization means to the community. And then it has the explanation in the English language. So, and that beautiful document, again, you know, I love Reg Crowshoe, and Reg Crowshoe, thank goodness, you know, was there to welcome me at an event that I was at there. And, you know, is that, you know, Dr. Reg Crowshoe, you know, was able to, again, talk about why, you know, why, again, the traditions need to be present in that indigenization document. So actually, my beautiful friends, what I'm going to have happen is this, okay, is this, and I swear. So what you're going to do is you're going to go like this. So a peace sign, I swear, it's easy, okay? Peace sign. Okay, try it. Yes, you. Yeah, you too. You're like, you know what? I'm not putting up my peace sign. Okay, why would I even do this? Okay, put up the peace sign. Okay, it's okay. You know, give peace a chance, John Lennon. So again, we're gonna do the peace sign. So my good friends, so what we do is that we do the peace sign, okay? But we're gonna do it, you know, we're gonna do it like, you know, kind of like young people style. And we're going to go like this, and we're going to put the peace sign out here, right? We're going to give some peace sign attitude. Give some peace sign attitude to the screen, my friends. Try it, try it. Disrupting with peace, right? And kindness. How dare you disrupt with peace and kindness? Now, take that peace sign. Give yourself some love with the peace sign. Oh, yeah, I've been doing my job, okay? Now, enough of this. So I'm going to have these beautiful people. I'm going to have you take over the host responsibilities and give it back to me again, because I'm actually going to, again, show you, okay, for some reason, anytime I go to share the screen, okay, it's weird. It's very weird, okay, but it's okay, okay? It's always strange, you know, these situations. So I'm going to have them, again, if you could take it over, then give me back the host responsibilities, that would be good. And I'm going to show you the document that I'm talking about, and then you'll see how different it is, right? So once I get that responsibility left, and I want to do a good shout out, folks, because I haven't really been able to take a look at the chat. And that's really like, you know, part of my ADHD personality too, because I'm like, what? Look, squirrel. And so if I look at the chat, then I really do, I get caught up in all the comments. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's like, you know, amazing comments, and I'll stay in there for hours. So now that I'm getting transferred back, you know, that host responsibility, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and you'll be able to see, again, my beautiful friends, the document that I'm talking about. And I'm going to start wrapping up this talk that we have on decolonization and indigenization. So I'd like the host responsibilities back. Yeah, it's okay. You can do it. I'm fine.
Pam,
Yeah.
Pam, you're gonna have to go into and make me the host back.
Is this our wonderful, again, is this saucy
Yes,
block?
please. Yes. So transfer it back and then there we go. And then I'll transfer it back to
Yeah,
you.
our beautiful Sasa, right? Oh my goodness, Sasa and sassy. That's what I say. You know what? Sasa and sassy, right? So my beautiful friends, as you know, we transfer back the host privileges, right? I'm going to share my screen with you, my friends, okay? And I'm going to show you the document that I'm talking about, all right? So here is the document, and you'll see how different it is. So we learn from each other. So this particular document is the indigenization document, again, for the University of Calgary. So we learn from others, right? We learn from others. Now, what I love about this is that right off the hop, you see the language, right? So it was informed by the elder Reg Crowshoe and the elder circle, the people and the youth and the community. Not only that, it was also, again, informed by those Universities Canada principles on education, okay? That's what it was. So if we take a look, and what I love about this, okay, I'm gonna just open it up. It starts out right away, right? It gives the acknowledgements. It talks about the gift, okay, the giftings and why it is, what reconciliation looks like to the community, okay, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, right? But it starts out right away. These are our lands. Not only that, it talks about the journey, why they're doing it, and you know how it is, you know, that the University of Calgary and the elders are also what the commitments are, okay, what the commitments are. Then this is what's really interesting about this document, because most documents you'll see will have a table with a timeline, okay, a table with a timeline. But this one is visionary, because what it does is that it's all about, again, that wonderful, again, Blackfoot way of knowing. It's Reg Crowshoe and, you know, the communities there, their way of knowing. So what they do is that they took those, and it's a long, difficult process, but what they did is they said, okay, this is our model. We are symbolic people. And then from there, they're like, okay, here's how we're going to, again, transform and indigenize our institution. We are going to do it through renewal, ways of knowing, ways of doing, connecting, being, and shared spaces. Then they took those models that were described, okay, described by the elders, okay, they took that, and then they could create their plan. So they were like, okay, well, what does ways of knowing look like? So they said, listen, at our institution, we need to decolonize the research. We need to build research capacity. We need to preserve the Indigenous nations, the cultures, the traditions in the area, decolonize our programs and curricula. And this is how we're going to do it, okay? So that's why, but you'll notice that it looks so different, right? It has the how we're going to do it, which you need to have concrete ways, but it always starts off with this. And it starts from the elders and the community saying, listen, here it is. We are in our territories, my friends. And this is what indigenization looks to us. So I'm going to stop there. Okay. All right. All right. Now, beautiful friends. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at that model at all four. Okay. Look at them all four. And I'm going to turn off again. Okay. I'm going to turn this off. All right. Turn it off right now. All right. So I'm going to put my virtual background off. All right. And I'm going to put my boring office background. And what I want you to do is look at that beautiful, again, you know, sacred circle you created at the beginning. Okay. Sacred circle, my friends. All right. I want you to do that. Take a look at it. All right. So this is what you created at the beginning. And we've had tasks all the way through 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you missed out, don't worry about it. It's okay. All right. You're okay. It's all good. So what I want you to do is you're going to look at that sacred circle. And this time, what you're going to do, my beautiful friends, is you're going to circle. Okay. You're going to circle. Okay. And you're like, what? Sacred circle on a circle. You're going to circle the key takeaway. Okay. That's what you're going to do. You're going to circle it, my beautiful friends. Okay. circle it, okay? Circle it. Circle the one key takeaway. So it could be an image, it could be, a fact, a statement, anything at all, okay? So circle it, look at it, engage with it, okay? Because it's living, right? It's living. So once you've circled it, I'd like you to go to the chat, okay, and put down what your key takeaway is, okay? What is your key takeaway, okay? So now, all right. Marie, is it Marisa? I think it's Marissa or Marisa. So my beautiful friend, yes. You got it. So I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, because again, that whole, my beautiful screen, my Zoom background is actually of, again, of a road. And what you don't see is that you don't see the divided line. So it's like those teachings of the two-row wampum, right? And that's what it is. It's seeing that, again, seeing that, that this journey of indigenization, right? That this journey is about, these two distinct, groups moving forward, indigenous and non-indigenous peoples, indigenous peoples and non-indigenous peoples, together. And the non-indigenous peoples are our allies and accomplices, and again, that what we do is that we try to walk together in truth and accountability. Okay, truth and accountability, not shaming and blaming. Okay, because you know what, we never forget how people make us feel. Okay, so again, put your teaching, put your key learning in the chat, my friends. Okay. And I'm going to share with you again in not too long from now. Okay, not too long from me now. Something that is, again, really important, and it actually comes from, again, some such beautiful, again, young people. And I want you, again, my friends, especially as I'm actually sharing this, right, to really listen to what these young people have to say. Because, it took me, and when I always do the peace stuff and stuff like that, when I'm working with young people, especially like my nephews, they're like, you know what? They're like, Auntie, you're strange. Okay. And that's okay. Because the thing is that being eccentric and embracing everything that you are is absolutely critical to being authentic. And if you can't do that, right? If you can't be authentic, then how can you be authentic with anybody else? So you got to be authentic to yourself. All right, you have to be. So I'm going to share with you a beautiful song, and it's a beautiful song that comes from our youth, right? So it comes from our beautiful youth. And I feel like so lucky, right? Because there's this amazing group, and I'm going to share it with you. So hopefully I'm able to do that. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about what is it that these young people are saying. And this is the way that I'm actually going to, again, end this. Oh, I get to see. Oh, so folks, I know a lot of the people here. I do. Carol, Josh. Yeah. So Josh Lewis, I'm very proud of you. But Josh, you know that. Like, come on. Yeah. So Josh Lewis, I actually taught, and I've actually got several people here that I taught at some point. Josh Lewis graduated from Laurentian with a Bachelor of Education and now works in Ottawa and has a beautiful, again, two-legged partner, and that Gabby, that supports the work that they need to do. And, it's important to always acknowledge those, that have inspired us. And I can tell you, my friends, that, there's so many here that have inspired me, right? So many of you, right, have inspired me. Childhood friends here, former coworkers, people I went to university with, including Ozma, right? Including Ozma. We went to university together. Yes, we did. Yes, we do. So here is this beautiful song. This is going to be some of the ways we're going to close off before I take some questions, okay? Before I take some questions. And if I can't answer, my friends, then what you need to know is that it's okay, all right? It's okay to say, I don't know, all right? So hold on. What is the message here, my beautiful friends, okay? What is the message? So I will actually start the song now, okay? So what are these young people trying to say to us?
the past where children feel so alone. We grew up fast, moving from home to home. Not sure if I'm wanted, got no place to go. Need someone to talk to before I explode. It's like we are strangers that never speak. Cause as we grow up, it's like our love becomes weak. But the deeper inside, I know there's no we can be. Cause behind those walls, we are family.
No love to misery, a tragic soul. Let's talk to each other, bring back the hope. We'll keep on failing if we don't rise to the challenge. Stop blaming, we can't do it single-handed. Real addictions have us getting sick and tired. I sit here listening and wishing to get inspired. Politicians are living liars, they tell us fiction. We want traditions, that is the fire.
Going through setbacks, losing identity. Held down so much, we don't know the enemy. Drinking and shaming, it's time to let go of. So many kids that gotta be grown-ups. We've been ignored, they're not paying attention. So many habits, we fade in depression. Trust me, I'm trying to change the connection. We sing for the love serenade through expression.
Real addictions have us getting sick and tired. I sit here listening and wishing to get inspired. Politicians are living liars, they tell us fiction. We want traditions, that is the fire.
Going through setbacks, losing identity. Held down so much, we don't know the enemy. Drinking and shaming, it's time to let go of. So many kids that gotta be grown-ups. We've been ignored, they're not paying attention. So many habits, we fade in depression. Trust me, I'm trying to change the connection. We sing for the love serenade through expression.
And I am going to stop it there, my beautiful friends, okay? I am definitely going to do that. So I'm going to stop there. And again, so what I love about that particular group, and it's actually an organization, which is really quite interesting, right? Which is really quite interesting because it's NWE and it's Jinan. And what it is that it's a really amazing group, right? It's an amazing group that actually puts out albums all the time. So now I'm going all old school. Oh my goodness, going old school. But what they do is that they bring together youth from across Canada and they have different projects. So what they do is that, you know, they bring youth together and they create music. And it's about what matters to young people. So what I love about it is that it's young people from across Canada, and you know, you'll get to see like there's amazing, like, you know, grades 4 and 5 students that actually again produce this amazing rap about what about what culture and language means to them. And I love it because they talk about the importance that yes, we need to, you know, we need to talk about that history, that story that's not good. But we also need to be able to move forward in a good way as well. So that, my friends, is something that is so powerful in those young people. And I want you to know, my beautiful friends, that that is absolutely critical to know, because those young folks, you know, are putting out that message. And it is, you know, and this is the transformation, and indigenization is not about us right now, because we won't see the impacts, or maybe we will see some of it. But what we do is that we, again, create plans. And I'll be honest with you, the one at the University of Calgary and is probably one of the most amazing wise practices that I've ever seen. And the reason being is that it goes back to Reg Crowshoe and the elders there in the communities that inform that document, right? And the whole process. And so the indigenization is that they said, listen, this is what it looks like to us. And the beautiful allies and accomplices at the U of C said, okay, you know what, here's our responsibility. And our responsibility is that we are going to, again, see that, you know, that this actually gets put in place, right? And we're going to do this together, informed by you. So my beautiful friends, right? So what I love about that music video. And I'm going to put my screen back up right now, my beautiful, again, virtual background, all right? My virtual background, right? So what I love about that and those young people is they're sending a message to us about what indigenization can look like. And they're very, very clear, you know, and that if you listen to the lyrics, it was about identity. It was about, you know, focusing in on responsibilities. It was focusing in on the land. So again, going back to looking at our institutions, right? So again, it's like, okay, well, where is the language present, the culture, the traditions? You know, who's making decisions about programming and policies, and how are Indigenous peoples involved, right? And, you know, I always say, and people will, you know, often say to me, well, you know, Pam, I live in a province where they're determining what the curriculum is, right, in schools. So I'm going to give people just a little feedback here. So some of the curriculum, my friends, right? So people are like, oh my goodness, I'm in a province where it's so conservative and I can't teach anything or go out of the box. So, gonna tell you what, there's a little thing called the hidden curriculum, all right? The hidden curriculum. And I'm going to tell you that the hidden curriculum is us, right? So you can look at any policy document, any program, something that's coming from a ministry. And what you can do, my good friends, is this, right? And what you can do, my good friends, is, you know, you can very much like, you know, it's so important, right? So important that, you know, that those systems, right? That those systems that we're able to affect policies and programs. And whatever comes down from any ministry, folks, we can find ways. You know what? Indigenous peoples, we are in like, we've got this intelligence and creativity. We are, you know, we're used to uncertainty and things like that, right? So we can do it, right? We can make those changes. We can take a policy and program and go, you know what? I'm pushing that box this way. I'm moving it this way. We can find ways, you got it, Jeannie, to actually go out of it and beyond it. We can do that, right? And teaching the hidden curriculum. So if you've got like, you know, curriculum that's you're like, I can't do anything. The hidden curriculum is right here in these bodies, right? The hidden curriculum is these bodies and these minds and the voice. So we can take anything and do things in a good way, right? That goes back to that little crack of the door, bust open. I'm here and I'm here to make change. Yeah. And then sometimes people be like, oh my goodness, why did we open that door? And it's always to remember, well, that door is, we need to open those doors because we don't have the time, right? We don't have time when we've got all kinds of bonojis that really require us to put aside our self-interests and to do things in a good way, right? In a good way. So I'm going to end it there and answer some questions. What I would like you to do, my beautiful friends, you see that roadway behind me? That is symbolic, my friends, of, again, you know, our 2-row wampum too, right? And again, that we walk together, not crossing over, my friends, okay? But also to go in a good way, right? In a good way. It's all good, all right? It's all good. And again, I will take questions, my friends. And if you got to go, you're like, oh, buckaroo, oh, I'm a hungry girl, okay? I need to leave. That's okay. Or else you're like, oh, I need that wigwam ass, which again is the bathroom, okay? I've been sitting here for 2 hours. Okay, that's okay too. So miigwech, my friends, I want to thank you for your time. And for those beautiful, again, like, you know, individuals that want to stay on for the Q&A, that's always good. Okay, that's always good. All right. So if you got to go, all right, I'll see you later. Okay, it's all good. Stay safe, my friends. Stay safe. And for those that have questions, please feel free to stay on. All right. So, Bamampi, miigwech and Bamampi. All right, my friends. So I will actually have somebody. Oh, some childhood friends. Oh, Charlene. Okay. Roger Pilon. Okay. Sagamok misses you. Miranda. Oh, my goodness. Sagamonians are everywhere. Oh, my goodness. Yep. You're everywhere. Jeanette miigwech, right?
So we have a few questions in the question and answer box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, yeah. So thank you so much again, like, you know, Vivian, because that's a really great question, right? So So I don't mind. Oh, there's Pat. There's, oh my goodness, Tammy, like all these people from Sagamok. Those are my people. So can you provide examples of institutions that have decolonized and indigenized the budget, i.e. put the dollars to match the promises? So I'm going to tell you right now, there is no, okay, institution that has done that to 100%, okay? So people are like, you know what, why would you give us this stat and information? But there were wise practices. So remember that, you know, there is not a, it's a process, right? And everybody on this journey that I've been talking about is at a different stage in the journey. And so there are wise practices out there. And I use the University of Calgary as a safe entry point. Okay, so that particular document and Reg Crowshoe, because that is a safe entry point, you know, when we can actually look at wise practices outside of Ontario, you know, so I'm not talking, you know, so that's why I would do that. But the U of C is an example of how that indigenization document, right, was again aligned with budgetary opportunities, right? Budgetary opportunities. And that's really what it is. So I would suggest taking a look there. Not only that, if you really want to look as well at indigenization, right, at the post-secondary level, I'm telling you folks, you know, and support them, are Indigenous institutes, right? So again, 7 Gens Institute, you know, again, you have to. So take a look, you know, go to Kenjigewinteg. These are, again, institutes that have their own diploma and degree granting powers, okay? They have that. And not only that, you know, these are, again, completely focused in on community and community programming. But take a look, you know, so you need to take a look, folks. And what's interesting is that these institutes, like I really feel in just knowing the budgets, right? Because, you know, unfortunately, our Indigenous institutes are not sufficiently funded, okay? And I have no problem saying that they're not. And it's you know, our people have really learned to be creative, and we've had to be, right? We've had to be. So they've actually, they you know, are community based, and they are examples of how you can indigenize in a good way. And they have so many wonderful success stories and moments of truth and clarity, okay? Truth and clarity. Yes, AEI in North Bay, you are going to like love these experiences. So that's what I'm talking about, my friends. But there is no non-Indigenous, okay, post-secondary institution, none, okay, that have, again, a plan where it's been 100% funded, and that isn't. That's why I'm saying it takes time, right? So when people do become woke, you know, it's about like, you know, it's like, okay, now here's what you need to do with that knowing. Now you need to take that knowing, and, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to be an ally, or are you going to be an accomplice? And here, you know, is again why it's important to do that, right? So again, remember, you know, it's about, people never forget how you make them feel. They never do. You know, time, like, you know, and you know, will help, you know, forget, you know, time will help us to forget things that were said, but those feelings, right, are again, so they're like part of the condition that connects all of the two-leggeds, right? So you need to think about that, right? So again, so I would say is that, you know, look at other models, but start looking out of province and look internationally. Don't be afraid to look at Maori models and see how they're doing it. Because actually, I'll be honest with you, the Maori are at least 15 years ahead of Canada, okay? And so that's why, yeah, you definitely know. Yeah, so it's really important to do that, and to start from a safe place. Because if you start to, like, you know, look at Ontario, then because we're here, or else whatever province you're in, when you start to, like, you know, start to do all this deconstructing, it's hard to do that in a really safe place. You can look at your current plans and say, listen, where are the gaps? What do we need to do, right? But start to look at models and wise practices like, again, the Indigenization plan at the University of Calgary, all right? So definitely do that. So my beautiful friends, I have answered, oh my goodness, I better pull up this Q&A, okay? So, now, so we've got, yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. So there's some really good ones, right? So in here. So definitely. So when it comes to accountability, right? So again, if you're dealing with again, individuals that, consider that are always supporting, like, the status quo, right? You've got to remember, my friends, right? That people that always support the status quo, that often it's because there is not, so I'm going to be honest with you, it's because there really is not that type of, again, like that emotional connection to why we should be confronting and disrupting the status quo, right? And a lot of people will say, well, how do you maintain, like, that kindness, right? How do you, maintain that kindness? Well, you got to remember that whatever energy that you're putting out there, that's your energy, right? So I don't believe in giving over my power, my personal power, to anybody, right? So whenever I deal with somebody, like, and even people that are really confrontational and that, that are always like status quo, I always try to remember it took whatever it was, 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years for them to get to that stage. And I don't like excuse the racism. Like, I don't like go like, oh, it's too bad, like, you're a racist. No, that's not it at all. But what I do is that I try to remember, right, where they've come from and to inform them in a good way. But doing it in a good way, right? Doing it in a good way is always about those emotional connections. It's asking about their children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, their dog, their cat, right? That's really what it is about, because it's relationships that affect change, right? Relationships. Because once you have that relationship, right, that's built in a good way and you're invested in each other, that's what also helps to promote change. And there's some people that will never change, right? Never. And you know what? And that's also, a part of, right? A part of, like, just that acceptance that there are some that are always going to be there. Because I'll tell you, folks, it's terrifying to actually know the truth. All right. It's terrifying to know what happened to Indigenous peoples, or some people go to a place of where they just don't care, right? But it's like, how do we make people care? And I'm telling you that it's always about the relationship. How's your child? Who is your child, right? Niece, nephew. And it's about that connection. So, yeah. And Indigenous folks, we're always tasked with this work, right? We're always, and that's why I say, and it's tough work. It's really tough, right? Because it's true. A lot of places, especially like, organizations that are not Indigenous, do a lot of good talking, right? Good talking the talk. And, and we're like, we're talking about, we want some walking behind the talk, some budgets aligned with those plans, right? So what I always say is that, we need to, again, get in the frame of mind that this is going to be a struggle, right? It is going to be a struggle. And miigwech Darla, yeah, my wonderful Sgamaconian. So it's really about understanding that it's time, this is a journey, and it's not going to be a clear-cut journey that's without conflict, without hurt, without joy, without hope. But it's always thinking about, trying to get out of our ego and ourself, and to think about the work that we're doing is about those yet to come, right? We don't have the time to wait. We just need to do the work. And is it tiring? Yeah. Do I wake up some days and think, oh my goodness, I got another round to go today? The responsibilities on my shoulders. So it goes back to the beginning of this session when I talked about decolonization. You got to have a self-care plan. You got to have a support network that is going to, like, say, listen, you got this. You got this, right now. You got this today and tomorrow. So that's why self-care is absolutely, again, important, right? It is so important. So you've got to have that. And you've got to think, not about this part. This is all about self-care, but it's thinking about what are my responsibilities to those that are yet to come and those that are in the system right now, right? So, and again, so you got to remember the majority of institutions are settler institutions, right? But we've learned to be creative, to break those barriers, to take that box, and we've learned to go like this. And here we are, okay? So there is no, if you're looking for the 8-step checklist, I can't give that to you because it's going to be different. Every place is going to be different, but the fundamentals are the same, that the Indigenous peoples of the area and the land are the ones to do the informing, right? That's what it is in a good way. And there has to be a plan in place with budgetary alignments to ensure that that plan can actually happen, right? So there has to be, and that there is an actual assessment and evaluation piece to it that is assessed and evaluated by the community, okay? Okay, by the community. So I'm looking at, again, at a couple of the questions. Some of them I've covered, and some of them I haven't, and some of them I really don't have answers to because maybe I don't understand the question. And but you can certainly reach out to me, folks. So if you feel that I haven't answered your question, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I don't have an issue saying I don't know. And that is absolutely critical. So when I don't know, right, my friends, is that I can either find a resource or someone that does. And if not, then it's something that we can have a conversation about together. Okay. So that's really what it is. And, when it comes to accountability, right? When it comes to accountability, folks, that's why it's important when a committee opens up, or a position, or the opportunity to revise a document or a policy, or to be part of strategic planning. That's how we hold people accountable, right? Because we can say, listen, look at this, right? Look at this. And, and if that trust is broken, it's okay to say, that there's hurt here and that trust has been broken. And it's going to take time to rebuild, right? It's going to take time. So accountability comes from us Indigenous peoples. Don't be afraid. When that little crack opens, that's it. Jump on in. Yeah, just say, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. And I'm not going to talk about how I got here. I'm not even going to go to that and get involved in issues over politics or identity politics here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust open through that door, sit on this curriculum committee or the strategic plan, task force, whatever it is. And I'm going to make sure that, the voice of my community is heard here. Yeah, that's what it is. All right. So I'm going to leave it with that because I've looked at the questions. All right. Yeah. So settler institutions, right? Definitely. So how do you do that, right? And it starts with having a relationship with the Indigenous community. So settler institutions, right? There's a colonial past, and we never start from scratch. We're never starting from scratch. It's about that awareness. It could be something so simple. And miigwech, Marjorie. Yep, you take care. Bamampi. So again, it's always about, when it comes to, again, relationships, right? Is that it means starting off small. Like really, it might mean having a conversation, via Zoom, or else through an email, or sharing, an event, right? But that's what it is. Or else ensuring that you sit on a committee where everybody has to take PD on cultural safety. Try that one. So that's how. But it's also about how we see things, right? I know what it's like to be in a settler institution. My goodness, folks, I've been, living in colonial institutions for the majority of my life. So please understand, it's about how we view it, right? How can we affect change, right? And it's in small ways, my friends, small ways. Yeah. So that's really what it is. Miigwech, I appreciate you folks. All right. Yeah. And I will transfer over. Okay. So I'm going to, to our sassy Sasa. I'm going to give you the host privileges.
Off you go, miigwech. Pamela Toulouse, miigwech. Dr. Toulouse for joining us today. And on behalf of Anishinaabe Initiatives Division, Shingwauk Anishinaabe Students Association, and of course, Algoma University, we appreciate you so much for coming here.